Why do some people drink down love even when they know it's poison? Yet they still drain the cup to the last drop. Perhaps it is because when a person has been trapped in hell for too long, even a faint beam of light can become a fatal redemption. Some say, this is a forbidden film about infidelity, but I would rather call it a drowning person's instinct to survive. Director Kim Dae-woo took 132 minutes to tell us one truth: some love cannot be measured by morality. That is the final obsession with life from a person on the verge of death. Today, let's talk about this must-see love film in one's life. Human addiction. Jin Pyong is a combat hero returning from the front lines. The external smoke of gunfire seems to have dissipated, yet the inner wounds grow wildly in the peaceful years. That bone-deep fear did not disappear with the stability of life. This loneliness is fatal, because everyone around him is busy praising his medals, but no one wants to look at his bleeding soul. The most ironic thing is that even his wife, who shares his bed, turns a blind eye to her husband's inner collapse. In his wife's eyes, Jin Pyong is merely a tool to maintain her superior life. This arrogant indifference turns their marriage into a cold tomb, until a visit to the hospital for a consolation event. Life is finally broken by a pebble. The officers' wives are all trying hard to get close to Jin Pyong, just as he is impatient and wants to escape. The appearance of a woman makes him freeze instantly, because she had not prepared a fitting outfit. Ga-hee was forced to wear a tight dress, but this unintentional act instead outlines her graceful figure. This sensuality that stands out in the crowd instantly illuminates Jin Pyong's grey world. Ga-hee's husband, Ju-man, is Jin Pyong's subordinate. To curry favor with his superior, the couple has just moved into the military residence. It was originally just an ordinary greeting among family members, but unexpectedly, an accident suddenly occurs. A soldier suddenly suffers a mental breakdown, wielding a scalpel and taking Ga-hee hostage. In this soldier's eyes, the whole room is full of enemies coming to catch him. Only Jin Pyong understands that feeling of being devoured by fear in this scene. Jin Pyong hastily shouts, but the chaos on site stimulates the soldier's fragile nerves. That out-of-control bullet hits the innocent Ga-hee squarely. She is indeed an unusual woman. Everyone is still in shock, yet she only cares about her lost earring. Perhaps it is her painful childhood background that has long numbed her to life and death. This distinctive aloof temperament makes Officer Jin Pyong intensely curious about her. In the adult world, curiosity is often the beginning of obsession. Later, Jin Pyong learns that the woman is actually his subordinate Ju-man's wife. So Jin Pyong, using the excuse of caring for his subordinate, proposes to visit the injured Ga-hee at the hospital. When Ju-man hears this request, he is simply flattered. In this man's eyes, his wife is not a partner who needs care, but a stepping stone for his career. Jin Pyong pushes open the door with flowers in hand. Sunlight is falling on Ga-hee's pale face. During their small talk, Jin Pyong glimpses a corner of the woman's heart. She, too, was originally a person with a troubled fate. To repay her lifesaver, she chose to marry her savior's son, who is now Ju-man. She has long lost her enthusiasm for life, and what remains is only numb obedience to her benefactor's family. Jin Pyong takes out the recovered earring. He bends down and puts it on her with his own hands. This is their first truly private moment together. At this moment, the slight coolness of fingertips touching the earlobe becomes a signal of crossing the line. From then on, that special woman seems to have suddenly burst into Jin Pyong's heart. Ga-hee possesses a subtle, innocent yet fatal charm. In the game of love, she is a natural master. To create an opportunity, she invites the Ju-mans to a picnic together, to show off his flattering skills. Ju-man once again mentions Jin Pyong's glorious deeds, but this man does not know that these so-called honors are precisely the traumas that Jin Pyong least wants to recall. Jin Pyong begins to lose his temper and composure uncontrollably. Facing her husband's embarrassment, Jin Pyong's wife's first reaction is to feel ashamed. Only Ga-hee quietly peels a peach and hands it to Jin Pyong.
더 드세요. 담배 많이 피우는 사람한테 복숭아가 좋대요.
That is the understanding and warmth he has never felt before. Others only worship him as a hero. Only this woman before him sees through the fragility beneath his tough shell. A man who does not know how to express his love in words secretly slips his most treasured lighter into Ga-hee's handbag. This is not just a simple object. It is more like a token of love representing his true feelings. Ga-hee has a fatal contradiction about her. Effortlessly skilled yet seemingly innocent. Every sincere word she says makes Jin Pyong, already conflicted inside, fall deeper. For Jin Pyong, who has been adrift for so long, Ga-hee is not only a projection of desire, but also his only lifeline. Ga-hee's husband, Ju-man, is a man whose ambition is written all over his face. Ju-man specially customizes a fitted short skirt for his wife. He despicably packages his wife as an enticing gift, only to gain a chance for rapid promotion. Ga-hee is well aware of her husband's intentions, and knows what kind of looks others will cast. But obedience has long become her creed for survival. Only Jin Pyong cannot bear to see the woman he loves humiliated. He chooses the most awkward way to break the situation. He pretends to be drunk and rushes onto the stage, trying to disrupt the unspoken agreement of this power and sex transaction with an untimely song. Watching the groping hands wandering over Ga-hee's body, Jin Pyong's physical revulsion makes him vomit violently. In the restroom, Ga-hee's soft thank you causes Jin Pyong's long-suppressed emotions to burst instantly. He cannot help but kiss her. Ga-hee instinctively dodges, but her body honestly softens in the man's arms, until an abrupt knock sounds outside the door. This intimacy, which nearly got out of control, has to be interrupted. To ease the pangs of longing, Jin Pyong invites the Ju-mans to dinner, taking advantage of the moment when Ju-man and his wife are distracted. Jin Pyong writes an invitation on a napkin. Facing this obsession tinged with destruction, Ga-hee's fingers holding the pen tremble slightly. In the end, she still cannot resist the temptation, and leaves the meeting time on the paper. It is a rainy afternoon, which covers the secrets breeding in this city. Ga-hee arrives as promised in a long dress. Rain wets the car windows, and blurs the boundaries of morality. After this pleasure, Jin Pyong feels as if he is poisoned by a deadly toxin. Whenever her image appears in his mind, a sweet yet dangerous smile always appears on his face. To possess her longer, and to make up for his guilt toward Ju-man, Jin Pyong uses his authority to specially arrange an out-of-town assignment for Ju-man. Ju-man, kept in the dark, is overjoyed at this. Facing the imminent separation, Ju-man, who is fully focused on his career, only gives Ga-hee a few simple instructions, and then sets off for his life's goal. Late at night, Jin Pyong knocks on the door. He thought it would be a joyful mutual desire, but what greets him is Ga-hee's refusal. She returns the lighter, trying to cut off this newly sprouted affection. For Jin Pyong at this moment, Ga-hee is not only a lover, but also his only driftwood when drowning. Once he lets go, what awaits him is an abyss of eternal damnation. He knocks on the door a second time. That line, "Without you, I can hardly breathe," is not a cliché love phrase, but his true confession. In fact, through countless days and nights, she had also fantasized about her husband Ju-man going on a business trip. But when this opportunity truly arrives, the fear of violating morality grips her throat. On this suffocating night, two lonely souls ultimately cannot stay clear-headed. Afterward, that stolen sweet time becomes the only bright spot in their grey lives. Although Ga-hee tries her best to conceal it, it is her mother-in-law who first perceives all this. She sees through the undercurrent between her daughter-in-law and this man at a glance. But she does not stand on the moral high ground to judge, perhaps because she knows her son's character well. She instead understands the helplessness behind Ga-hee's deep affection.
너한테 미안한 게 뭔 줄 알아? 나쁜 사람하고 결혼하게 한 거. 내 아들 나쁜 사람이잖아. 겉은 멀쩡한데 속이.
Facing Ga-hee's guilty apology, the mother-in-law chooses a kind refusal. This silent acquiescence is perhaps the gentlest mercy from one woman to another for this bitter love. The more tolerance she receives, the deeper Ga-hee's guilt becomes. The stolen pleasure once seen as redemption now turns into torment.
나 이제 대련이 그만 만날래요. 정말로. 노력할 거예요. 대련이가 노력해 줄 수 있죠. 날 위해서.
Ga-hee finally makes a painful resolution and proposes breaking up with Jin Pyong. But for Jin Pyong, this love has long become a twisted obsession. He would rather sink into the abyss than wake from this poignant dream. They meet again at Jin Pyong's promotion banquet. Alcohol not only ignites the blood, but also magnifies that bone-eroding longing. Under the influence of alcohol, Jin Pyong still tries to salvage this relationship.
경대한테 얘기했어요.
뭘요?
서울에 같이 올라가자고요. 내 부관으로. 경대한테 잘할 거예요.
In fact, Ga-hee knows better than anyone that he only wants to forcibly tie her to his side.
거예요.
왜?
가면 당신 만날 테니까.
Faced with this suffocating entanglement, Ga-hee refuses with extraordinary determination. At this moment, Jin Pyong's despair is like a breached flood, instantly drowning his reason. He clings to Ga-hee like a madman who has lost his mind, roaring in front of everyone. This is not just a plea to stay. It is the deathbed wail of a soul exhausted to the brink. This scandal concerning dignity eventually reaches the ears of the father-in-law who controls everything. Jin Pyong's current prominent status does not entirely depend on his own efforts. However, human nature is often greedy and insatiable. He actually betrays the wife who gave him glory. The general points at Jin Pyong's nose and curses him out. As punishment, he is sent to Vietnam. But the pressure of power ultimately fails to ring the alarm for the prodigal son. Jin Pyong naively proposes to take her far away, to escape from here. But he makes a fatal mistake. He completely overestimates Ga-hee's investment in this relationship.
그래서 말인데 거기 나랑 같이 가지 않겠어?
그 정도로 다 버릴 정도로 자기
Along with that crisp gunshot, that cold bullet not only pierces the flesh, but also shatters this ill-fated relationship that should never have existed. Years pass in the blink of an eye. Divorced Ga-hee has also re-entered a life of affluence. At a banquet filled with clinking glasses, a soldier just returned from the battlefield breaks the silence. The soldier does not exchange many pleasantries. He simply hands over a photo silently. The man in this photo saved his life desperately on the battlefield. But during the subsequent evacuation, the man was unfortunately shot and remained forever on that land. Ga-hee turns over the photo. At that moment, the sealed memories surge back like a tide. Even at the last moment of his life, in that fiery inferno of artillery, he still loved her with his life. This love, so heavy it suffocates, finally at this moment, pierces through this woman's cold disguise. She completely breaks down and weeps. We are always quick to stand on the moral high ground, to judge Jin Pyong's madness. Yet we overlook the depths of his soul, that barren wasteland where nothing has grown for a long time. As a hero hollowed out by war, he has the praise of his subordinates, but never a single second that belongs to himself. Ga-hee's appearance is not temptation, but an understanding. She saw the trembling behind his medals, and heard the cry beneath his silence. Yet the cruelest truth in love is that when two drowning people embrace each other, they may not necessarily surface, but often sink deeper into the sea. So all the deviant behavior is simply because one is too eager in this cold world to find a little real warmth. Love is his rebirth, and also his epitaph.